reformat your memory cards every time you load them into your camera, assuming, of course, that you've already transferred all the images stored on the card to your computer for safekeeping. Please note that formatting a memory card will erase all data on the card, including any photos that have been protected or hidden. Formatting a card is very easy and takes just a couple of seconds. You can even do it from the menu if you prefer. Just press and hold the trash button and the exposure mode button simultaneously for about 2 seconds until you see this display on the top of the LCD. Release the two buttons and press them both again. That's it. When the formatting is done, the LCD will return to normal display and the total capacity of the memory card will be displayed. In other words, at the current image quality and size settings, this is about how many exposures we can expect to capture on the card. Well, that's it. That concludes our walk around the camera, and you should now have a better understanding of the external controls of the D80. This chapter wasn't exciting. It's very important to have this basic foundation as we continue through the rest of the DVD. Like all digital cameras, many of the D80's most important functions cannot be changed with the external buttons and dials on the camera body. Instead, there are dozens of settings that can only be changed by accessing the menu system. Fortunately, the D80 has a simple menu system that is very easy to understand. The menus have been divided into 5 main pages, each represented by an icon on the left side of the screen. There's playback, shooting, custom setting, setup, and retouch. Never heard of a retouch menu before? That's because it's new. The retouch menu lets you edit your photos in camera. Choices include resizing, cropping, red eye reduction, and various filter effects. We'll take a closer look in a minute. Now, because the D80 has about 68 different menus, and each of them has at least 2 and sometimes several settings to choose from, almost nobody could understand them all right away. So just relax and learn the D80 at your own pace. And I'm not going to take the time to try and explain them all one by one either, because it would take too long and it's not necessary. The important ones will be discussed over the course of the DVD, and the rest are either self-explanatory or should really only be changed by advanced users who already understand how they function. Just like the D70S before it, the D80 has a handy in-camera help system that covers nearly every menu item on the camera. Whenever you see this icon on screen, you can hold down the help button to show a brief description of the current menu selection. The explanations are actually quite helpful, and they make a good learning tool as you get to know the camera better. Just as you expect, navigating through the menus is done with the 4 arrow buttons. To use a particular menu, you highlight it and press the OK button. Now you can change the setting by highlighting a choice and then pressing the OK button again to lock it in. It's that easy. The playback menus control how you view images on the monitor, transfer images to a computer, or print directly to a printer. You probably won't need to use these menus very often. On the other hand, the shooting menus directly control the settings that determine the look, style, size, and quality of the pictures you take. These are the menus that you'll be changing most often and are the most important ones to learn. The custom setting menus are used to change how the camera functions while you're shooting. Changing these menus is kind of like adjusting the mirrors or the seat on your car to make them more comfortable before you start driving. You can customize things like the autofocus system, metering and exposure controls, timers, warnings, and many other settings to make them work however you like. In the beginning, you'll want to leave most of these at the default settings until you get to know the camera better. Changes to the setup menus aren't usually needed very often, and for the most part, you can ignore most of them once you've got the camera set up the way you like it. As I said earlier, the retouch menus allow you to make a variety of in-camera adjustments and enhancements to images after they've been shot. If you don't want to use a computer to edit your images, this is the next best thing. You don't have to worry about damaging the original image because the camera automatically saves the retouch version as a new file. So you can always go back to the original later if you decide you don't like the changes that you've made, and that's good. If retouching meant that you were going to overwrite the original picture, I'd warn you never to use retouch. Fortunately, that's not the case. Delighting automatically brings out detail and shadows to enhance the overall exposure. Red eye correction automatically detects and compensates for the annoying red eye effect sometimes caused by flash. Trim can be used to produce cropped versions of your images. Monochrome changes your image to black and white, sepia, or cyanotype. That means blue tinted. Filter effects tries to simulate the effect you have gotten if you had used a particular filter on the lens of your camera when you took the picture. Small picture creates smaller versions of your pictures for easy sharing. And image overlay merges a pair of selected RAW files to create a new composite image. I have mixed feelings about using the retouch functions. On the one hand, I'm the kind of person who prefers to do all of my image adjustments on a computer where I have maximum control and can see the results on a larger computer screen instead of a tiny LCD. On the other hand, I don't want to discourage you from using the retouch functions for times when you want to make simple image adjustments but either don't have the time or don't want to be bothered with using a computer. Just don't make the mistake of thinking retouch will eliminate the need for good photo editing software programs entirely. Here's a tip for you. If you find that it's hard to use the retouch functions while looking at the tiny LCD monitor, you can use the supplied AV cable to connect the D80 to your TV. That way you'll be able to see the changes on a much larger screen. Whenever you have pictures stored on the memory card that are retouched copies of an original image, this icon is superimposed to remind you. If you're following along with your own camera, you may have noticed that some of the menu screens I've shown may not be visible on your camera. And there's a reason for that. Nikon has set up the D80 to automatically hide many of the menus that they believe are least likely to be changed. And I can understand that. It makes sense to hide seldom used menus so they're out of the way. But that's not the best way to get to know the camera. So let's go ahead and change the way the camera displays menus. Press the menu button. Use the arrow buttons to navigate to the Setup menu page. Highlight CSM Setup menu and select it by pressing OK. Now we see that there are 3 menu display options. Simple is the default camera setting, and like I said, it causes the camera to hide a lot of the menus, so you can't even see them listed. That's okay for the menus that rarely get used, but it makes finding some menus that you might want to use frequently much more difficult. Full, as the name implies, makes the camera show every menu all of the time. Now, that might be fine for someone who changes all of the menus frequently, but personally, I don't need to see a bunch of menus I rarely if ever use. That's why the third option, My Menu, is my recommended choice. My Menu lets me choose which items the camera displays on each page of the playback, shooting, custom setting, and retouch menus. This is a great feature of the D80 and I love it. Here's how it works. Choose My Menu by pressing the OK button and then scroll down to one of the 5 choices. For this example, I'm going to choose to customize the Setup menu. I've already set the correct time on my camera, so I'm going to uncheck the World Time menu by pressing the OK button. I don't need to see that menu anymore. My video mode won't ever be changing, so I'll uncheck that. I only speak English, so I can hide the language menu. I don't plan on using the USB cable to connect my camera to a computer or printer, so it can be unchecked. And the rest of the menus are already unchecked, so let's leave them that way. To lock in my choices, I highlight Done and press the OK button. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and customize the other menus as well, but let's just press OK again to finish up. Now, Notice that there are only 4 menus shown on the Setup menu page, instead of 7 that would have been shown with the simple setting, or 15 that would have been shown with the full setting. Now the camera is going to be much easier to work with, and if I ever find that I do want to change one of the hidden menus, it's easy enough to show them again. An interesting thing to know about hiding menus is that even when they are hidden, the settings they control are still in effect. In other words, hiding a menu does not undo whatever custom setting you made with the menu. I encourage you to explore the menus and experiment with the various settings and try new things. You don't have to worry about wasting money on film and processing, and you can see the results immediately. Isn't digital great? I guarantee you that you will be a better digital photographer than you were a film photographer, because you will shoot more, experiment more, and will learn faster from seeing the results immediately. A big advantage that digital photography has over film photography is the ability to instantly view your images on the LCD while you're still out taking pictures. There's no more waiting hours or days until you get your prints back to see how you did. If you remember, earlier in the DVD, we looked at some basic playback functions and learned how to review your pictures, protect a photo, zoom in to check the details of an image, and how to display images in thumbnail groups of 4 or 9. Well, if you want to go beyond basic playback functions, there are some advanced controls that you'll want to know about. Let's begin by pressing the menu button and navigating the playback menu. There are 6 submenus within the playback menu that all affect the playback and editing of the images on your memory card. The delete menu is handy when you want to get rid of several images at once. Select all if you want to erase all the photos stored in the current folder, except those that are protected or hidden. But if you only want to delete certain images, choose Selected. Now you can use the left and right arrow buttons to scroll through the images on the card and find the ones you don't want to keep. Press the up arrow button to mark them and the down arrow to unmark them. Any pictures with a key icon superimposed are protected and can't be deleted. If you want to take a closer look at any picture, hold down the playback zoom button momentarily. Once you've selected the pictures to delete, press the OK button. Highlight Yes, and then press the OK button again to finish the deletion. The next menu choice is Playback Folder. With the D80, you can separate your pictures on the memory card into various folders to organize them by subject, date, location, or whatever criteria you choose. Then you can use the Playback Folder menu to designate whether you are playing back images from all the folders at once or just a selected folder. I recommend you change this setting to All so that you are always viewing every picture that's stored on the memory card. If you don't, you increase the chances of accidentally formatting a card that has pictures on it that you may have forgotten about. When Rotate Tall is turned on, the camera will display vertical pictures resized and rotated on the monitor for easy viewing. The slideshow menu can be used to play back images as an automated sequence, one after the other. In standard mode, the interval that each frame is displayed can be adjusted from 2 to 10 seconds. And you can select all of the images in the current folder or select individual photos. But unlike any other digital SLR on the market, the D80 can also generate an automated in-camera slideshow complete with special effects and background music. Of course, the D80 has no built-in speaker, so you can't actually hear the music unless you hook the camera up to the TV via the included AV cable. I like this feature because it gives me a great way to share my photos instantly without the need for a PC special software. It transforms the camera from being just an image capturing device into a portable player while on the go. Now here's how easy it is to set set up a custom slideshow complete with music and special effects. First, select the slideshow menu. Choose Change Settings, and then Style. Choose Picked Motion, and then choose Change Settings again. This time, scroll down to Background Music and press OK. Now select one of the 5 songs, and then select Start. In a few seconds, the slideshow will begin. The type of movement and transitions that motion applies to the photos will be different for each song, so you might want to try them all. Images that are stored on the memory card can be hidden from view. This function is handy when you only want to display certain images during a slideshow. Select Hide Image, select Set, and then scroll through the pictures and mark the ones you want to hide by pressing the up arrow button. When you're done, press OK. If we played a slideshow now, or even just viewed images one by one, the photo that we just marked would not be displayed. Making all the hidden images visible again is easy. Select Hide Image, deselect all, and then OK. Pictures taken with the D80 can be printed directly to a compatible printer by selecting the Print Set menu and marking the pictures you want to print in pretty much the same way we just hid other images. Well, that's about it for the playback menus, but there's still a very important playback function to talk about. When the camera records an image, it also stores a lot of technical information about that image called metadata that can be recalled later with the picture. And this information can be a very useful learning tool. There are actually 5 different options for displaying information about the images, plus a 6th option for copies of images that have been retouched. The current view can be changed by pressing the up and down arrow buttons or by rotating the sub-command dial on the front of the camera. This is called the highlight view, and it offers the least amount of information. However, there is one unique feature of this view that you won't find in other views. Notice the flashing white area in the picture. That's called highlight, and it's the camera's way of warning you that part of your image is nearly pure white, and therefore possibly overexposed. That's not necessarily anything to worry about. Depending on the subject of the picture, it might be perfectly acceptable. The camera is merely bringing it to your attention so that you are aware of it. When you see highlights flashing, sometimes you'll want to adjust the exposure settings and shoot the picture again. The next viewing mode is called Basic Information, and it provides a little more data about the picture. Now we can see the folder number where the picture is stored on the memory card, the date and time the picture was taken, the file name, the image quality setting, and the image size. The next view is called Shooting Data Page 1. Here we start to see many of the technical settings that were used when the picture was taken. They are well labeled, so I won't waste time pointing them out one by one. The next view is called Shooting Data Page 2, and it shows even more metadata that couldn't fit onto page 1. Between these 2 pages of shooting data, just about every important fact about the picture is available for you to review and learn from. This is one of the great benefits of digital photography that film could never offer. The final view is called RGB histogram. Now, what's a histogram? A histogram indicates the distribution of an image's brightness level. It's the best way to check your exposure when you're out in the field shooting. Using the histogram to judge exposure, rather than just looking at the image itself on the LCD, will guarantee you a much higher percentage of perfectly exposed images. So it's well worth your time to learn to read histograms. But that really goes beyond the scope of this DVD. The most important graph on the histogram page is this one. It shows the composite brightness level from all 3 color channels combined. Another playback function I want to point out is the OK button. Whenever a picture is displayed on the screen, you can press the OK button to jump straight to the retouch menu. So if you find yourself using the retouch menu often, this shortcut can save you a lot of time.